Take you through your delivery, coming out of your leg lift. I mean, I like how you load. You load good on the back leg. I would say, you know, you could keep your momentum going better. You're squatting, but there's not a lot of momentum, and you're letting your lift leg get out. So it's like you're letting your lift leg take your momentum. You really want to put that in your hips, and your hips carry all that momentum as you load. Your trunk is leaning too hard though forward. So when you put yourself in such an aggressive, what's called ipsilateral position, then you got to correct back. Okay, so you want to try to keep your posture as you're loading. You want to try to hold that posture. So let's look at kinematic and linear kinematic. So the one on the right. The one on the right is the linear kinematics. So this is angular. So this is how everything's starting to rotate. We can see what's going first is the blue. The dots are the peaks. So the blue's going first, which is your glove side. So I want to see that hip peaking and going first, which is the red. You can see it did peak first, but the blue is pushing or creating more angular velocity. So that means your blue's trying to drive a lot of your rotation. If you look at it in the linear aspects of it too, it's kind of the same thing. Your glove going first, but notice here how you can see your hips peaking before your trunk, which is the green on the angular kinematics on the left, but you're not seeing that separation linear. So it's like you're getting them, probably because you're pulling your glove side, you're getting the hips to rotate first, and probably because you're loading your arm back well. But as far as when it pushes force forward, it's actually going at the same time as the hips. So even though the hips went first and there was some type of separation, but when the force peaked through the hip and then the trunk, it was all at the same time. So you pulled them apart, but they didn't peak separate, they peaked together. So we want to not only get them sequencing or timing separated apart, we want to get them powering in separation. So delaying that, right? So it's like this punches boom, then that punches boom, then that punches. We don't want it all together, right? So, you know, what you need to get is that glove side will calm down when your back side, your back leg becomes more powerful. And right now you can see your back leg just turns down and that heel rolls up. We want to see that the leg extending, the ankle kicking and pushing. That'll push force through the hip. And then if we look on the right, the linear one, that'll push the peak through the red. And then if you're separated, then the trunk will come even later. And you get, it's an amplification, right? It's like the old French catapult, the trebuchet with the two arms. The first one goes, then the second one goes. So right now you got them all going together. So we really need to put more force through the lower ones. Like on that catapult, if the first one goes really slow, then the other one just keeps up with it. So we've got to put a lot of force through the first one. So we got to put a lot of force through this to then accelerate through that, right? And then you can see as your arm comes through, you have a lot of horizontal abduction. We measured you at 45, and you see how far your arm is back. So if we looked at that measurement, so do we have chest sensors? It would probably be, okay, we got arms, shoulder. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, so the shoulder, right shoulder, so they're going L and T, so I forgot what L and T means in this. So let's just see which one's in horizontal abduction. So abduction, adduction, the 75 here, I'm assuming that's it. This is a new graph to me, I got to go through that much, but you can just see how that arm's being pulled back there. That's fine when you cock your arm right here, but when you go into rotation and it's still back there, that's called hyperangulation. It's really bad for your arm. So that's what I was saying. It's impressive to have that because it allows you to really delay your arm, but if you continue to accelerate trunk rotation with your arm back there, this is the way the shoulder works. There's bone back here to prevent your arm going out of socket that way, but there's no bone up here to prevent your arm going out of socket. So if I want to dislocate your arm, I'll throw it back here and it'll pop out of socket. So you just got to be careful there, because the ball starts to want to push out, right? And then you can start tearing your labrum. You can start having subscap. A lot of injuries can come that way. Also, too, because this is late to get up and turn over, it could potentially, let's see, it didn't get too far out in front of your face because you pushed your chest forward. But if you had stopped your chest and you kept pushing your arm, then you delay into rotation, then it's hard on your elbow. So right now, I just think that could start to be a lot of front of the shoulder soreness over time, which you gotta be careful with that. So what's the key? It's the same thing. I gotta get my hips through, and when my shoulders go into rotation, my arm's gotta catch up with my shoulder, abduct and lay back. I don't wanna still be back there waiting, right? It's gotta catch up, lay back, and then go with my trunk. And a lot of the more power through your hips should do that. And then you can see your front leg is it's supporting your trunk well, but there's no extension, no drive out of the front end. I like the forward tilt though. You got some decent forward tilt. But if you could kick that in, boom, it's even more power at the end there. So you can see your legs can get a lot more powerful. And you can see also too, if we looked at your orientation of your trunk, about right here, 15 degrees, so it wasn't too bad. It was really ipsilateral. That's forward, never mind. Here it is T, so it's 11 or 12, and then here it's at 9. Okay, so even though you were leaning over, you didn't really try to overcompensate, which was good. And your forward trunk and pitch release was at, say, 33. I think 40 would be ideal, so you could go even more, and that front leg can help that too. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of things to improve on. I think your leg power just needs to get a lot better. Mm-hmm.